Okay, everybody, I think we're about to get started. You guys good? Okay, I call this meeting to order of the Sutter Creek City Council on May 19th. Aaron, could you do a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Reardon.
Here.
Councilmember Surt.
Here.
Mayor Gunselman.
Here.
Councilmember Swift. Councilmember Feist.
Here. Can you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to open the public forum. At this time, the public is permitted to address the City Council on items not appearing on the agenda. Comments may not exceed 5 minutes. In accordance with state law, however, no action or discussion may take place on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Would anyone care to comment on an item not on the agenda? Hearing nobody, we'll move on to the city manager's report.
Going too fast. Hang on.
Try to keep up.
Yeah. All right. I like this natural rock formation that formed in the creek.
Oh. Oh.
So a little bit different format tonight. I had a major item I want to really bring to your attention. So you guys may have read or heard the water board has prohibited the city of Ione from disposing of treated wastewater on the golf course. They're blocking them until their Title 22 report is approved. This is a report that's been outstanding for like 8 to 10 years. So the water board's decided to really come down on them. Unfortunately, it's really hurting us more than the city of Ione. Ione has started watering the golf course with well water, so they're not really being punished in any way. But it means that we cannot dispose of our wastewater, which we really need to do in the summer months. Our reservoirs, they fill up over the winter, and we need these summer months to lower them. So we've been doing some analysis this week. We think we're at real risk of a public health event come next spring, and that these reservoirs will overflow and there'll be treated wastewater coming out of the reservoirs. At that point, the water board could fine us. And so there's a letter at your desk, and there's a letter on the table for the public that we sent as soon as we heard about this. There was a meeting a couple of weeks ago. There was no commitment from the water board. They said they would try to prioritize it once Ione got their report in. And so, the major concern here is really public health and safety. It also means that we won't be able to do the Henderson repair because we were counting on getting rid of the water to lower Henderson Reservoir. So, we're trying to figure out different scenarios, different options. The best option would be to convince the water board to kind of rescind this and let us start distributing wastewater. I had a call with them today. Ione got their Title 22 report in this morning. They, again, were non-committal in terms of a timeline. They said they're working with DDW, is that Department of what's that? Yeah, the Department of DWQ, yeah. So it's between these two agencies, but it's really the regional water board that can tell them they can start disposing again. So, I would urge the council, members of the public, to really let the water board know that this is something we need. The other scenario is that we would start trying to dispose of as much water as we can in our spray fields. It requires a lot of investment on our part, and then they're costly to operate. We'd have to pay a lot of overtime. We'd probably go 7 days a week. There's a lot of diesel involved with running the pumps. And again, because we had these repairs planned, we really weren't anticipating running the spray fields. We didn't get any notice. So there's work to be done to make them operational. That's going to take a couple of weeks before we can even start. And then if they were to come back, you know, in a couple of months, it would kind of be in between there where we get maybe a little disposal this year. It's really going to depend how much we can get. We had a meeting with CDCR today. They're in the same boat. Like they need to get rid of some of their water, or they're potentially going to have issues. They agreed that we could go first if we do get the green light. But if it came in August, we're going to have to get rid of a little bit. We're going to have to let them get rid of a little bit, and then we're going to have to hope it doesn't rain too much this winter.
Yeah.
So, you know, looking at the forecast, if we have an average year, we should be okay. It's going to be close. But if we have a heavier rain year, then we're going to be in real danger of overflowing.
Tom, I have
Yeah.
two quick questions on that. One, when you talked to them today, did they seem to understand the public risk issue? Was there any like?
They
oh,
do. And I was trying to read behind the lines.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. What he said that if Ione submittal is complete and they don't see any major red flags, they're going to certainly urge them, but they're waiting for an assessment from this other department.
Uh-huh.
I stress that, you know, every week
Right.
is important. And again, it's really not punishing Ione at all at this point. You're really
Right.
punishing us.
The other thing was you indicated we and the public could let them know. Would you please give us that contact information and make it available to the public so anyone who wants to participate has direct access to, you know, who should they reach out to? What's the address? What's the best way of going about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could do that.
All the emails are on the AWA website.
It's not AWA.
Oh, it's
Yeah, water agency is what's written up there, but
Oh.
it's
Sorry. Water
Yeah.
board.
it's the water board. It's not local. It's in Sacramento.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
writing this quickly. too.
Oh, thank you. So where's that contact? Just,
Well, that's
That's
Yeah.
what we're asking.
I'll provide that.
okay.
It's the Regional Water Quality Control Board. You can Google it.
Yep.
Too.
Does our water agency correspond with them? Like, could they be an
Nothing-
advocate?
No, water agency is a typo.
Doesn't have to
Ignore that. This is for wastewater.
Great, thank you.
Is the address on your letter referring to John Baum, the Assistant Executive Officer?
Yeah.
Is that an appropriate person to address concerns?
Yeah, he's the most senior person there, and
Oh.
it's this office in Rancho Cordova.
Okay.
That's great.
The other question I had is, do we even have enough spray fields available to absorb what needs to be
Yeah.
disposed of?
So it's a bit of an eye chart, but again, it's totally weather dependent.
Yeah.
The point is if we had a dry year, we'll be okay. If we get rains, kind of above average, come April, you know, we overflow is what these calculations show. And we've been trying to get a couple different calculations. So
Tom, who can ARSA contact besides the regional board? Do we go to our state senator or assemblyman person, and are we ready to do, is that appropriate now to start?
probably, yeah. So,
Okay,
I mean, it's all kind of happening in real time, but that's probably a good next step.
I think so.
And then did you say they're using wells in Ione to water the golf course?
Yeah.
So that maybe would be a significant thing to mention. I mean, it seems to be pulling from groundwater when they could be using.
No, it's not really. So again, Ione's willing to take our water. They're just being prohibited from doing it.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if they're pulling groundwater when they could be using wastewater, that's significant.
I mean, yes,
So
Limited resource.
in the final sentence, it says, I urge the regional water board to work with the state on our behalf to ensure we can continue disposal. where would we continue our continual disposal
On the golf course.
on the golf course?
So kind of separately, I put it here, we've been trying to get a grant for the Henderson repair. We've been told that, it's high likelihood we'll get it. Nobody will guarantee that. But it would be for next year, and any work we do this year would not be eligible. So, if we can't, dispose of water in a couple of weeks, kind of the decision's going to be made. We're going to delay Henderson till next year. But kind of independent of that, I just wanted to raise this to you guys for your comments, we have the money and we got a good bid for this year, but if we had a chance to get a grant for $800,000, should we wait? Costs might go up next year, but that's a lot of money. We could wait and not get the grant. There's all these different options, but
I have 3 questions. We're not expecting to be able to flood irrigate under our new permit. Are we still able to now?
yeah.
Part 2, we are obligated to do the Henderson under drain as part of our settlement, but that obligation was by the dam people, not the water board people. Are
Yeah,
they,
Dan has reached out to them.
Yeah, I contacted Dam Safety last Monday, told them about it. They are talking to the water board too. They're pushing on their end, but
if
nothing's
they
been-
could advocate for us?
That's what we're hoping.
Yeah.
They seem to be a little more able to get stuff done.
Third question, you're asking this letter to them is very appropriate, to consider the Title 22 submittal instead of approval. If that's the case, then we could maybe start going next week. Can you, by some mechanism, let us know if you hear back from them?
I mean, I talked to John Baum today, and I reiterated this. Again, he said he understood the issue. He said that they just got the report, or ION just submitted the report a couple hours ago. They're going to assess it. He still wasn't committing though to whether it would be upon completion or upon approval. I think they want to make sure that the submittal is at least complete and doesn't have some major holes in it. And I said, again, why don't you let us turn it on? And then if there's an issue, you can tell us to turn it off again even. So
So suppose best case scenario, they decide to go ahead and lift the restrictions. Is ION ready to go on to get the tertiary plant up and running?
yeah, they are.
Okay.
And because ION is now running the golf course directly, they think they can dispose of a lot more water. They're going to put a lot more water in the ponds and water traps than the previous operator. So,
Okay.
And following Jim's kind of line of questioning there, and to follow up with what you said, Tom, so assuming best case scenario, then we get the dam low enough to be able to do the repair this year. You're asking us, what do you think? Should we go ahead and do it at that point with the good bid that we had and just get it done and spend our own money? Or can we just sit on that for a year with the hopes for the likelihood of getting this grant? You need some
Right.
feedback on that?
yeah, and it wasn't really agendized, but if you guys want to
Right.
talk to me, let me know.
Okay,
That'd be good.
okay.
So if any more questions on that, I can move on. So I do want to say, we haven't met in a month, but the duck race was a huge success. I think it's really great. You may have, I don't know if you saw it, there's a new sign up on the end of Main Street. Took a while, but we're happy that project is done. So this is for all the businesses that are kind of not on Main Street. They all paid about a year ago to be on this sign, and we finally got it up. We were waiting for the sign maker. And then Julie and I attended the conference in Sacramento on kind of legislation. We can wait till council member comments to kind of talk about that a little bit. And then, I have been assured, the pool will operate this summer, so we're good there. And then farmers markets have restarted. We had Mother's Day, and then Treasures is coming up next. And it's just been, I think, pretty busy season with events, all the normal events. And then for your agendas, June's going to be busy with the audit, the budget, and the MOUs for the 2 unions. So I expect that'll probably take most of the next 2 meetings. And that's it.
The news about the pool, is that assurances from Accra that the pool, there will be operating the pool?
Yeah.
Yes, and I'll address that in, at the end.
Okay.
Any other questions from Tom from the council? Any questions for Tom from the public? Go ahead. You have to use the podium so we can record you.
Could you push the
Okay.
little button on the base of the?
The middle one.
Hi, I'm Ann Boyd. I live in Sutter Creek, and I was just wondering, talking about the sewer and the wastewater and the $800,000 and grant, but what is the bid for? Like, how much of a chunk does that cover?
Pretty much cover all of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 5, which is a presentation from the Visitor Center.
Hi there, Lisa Klosowski, Sutter Creek Visitor Center. Thank you so much for giving us some time to talk about the Visitor Center tonight. And I promised Aaron I wouldn't go more than 10 minutes. So, and there's a fly buzzing around here, so he's very annoying. We're all really proud of the Visitor Center, and we enjoy what we do, greeting people. We also help a lot of locals too. And what I am most proud of is the team of volunteers that we have. They're amazing. These folks can do anything, and they've proved it many times. Don't know if you saw our booth at the duck races. It was pretty polished. They did that all themselves, so that was cool. Anyway, so yeah, I did give you a packet, and hopefully you all had a chance to look it over, so I don't have to talk too much. But some of the main things I wanted to go over, that we've accomplished so much. We opened September 1st, 2023. So we've been open 1.5 years, and the amount of things that we've accomplished in that 1.5 years is just astonishing. And we're still doing new things too. So that's really cool. I don't know if you brought this with you. I think it's up on the board. So we became a 501c3 nonprofit, which is very cool. So all donations now are tax deductible. We're under the Amador Community Foundation umbrella. Since opening in September 1st, 2023, we have had 9,524 visitors. And that's not counting May. I did this through April. Actually, he's not here tonight, but Patrick Ryan is an accountant and puts together all these numbers and wonderful graphs for us every month. I didn't put them all in here, but so that's where all that comes from. He calculates this for us. In 2024, we had 5,467 visitors come through, and fudging, these are actual numbers. We are not allowed to fudge. We were open 327 days and closed 38 days. If you look on the next page, there's a chart month by month that shows how many shifts we were open per, well, I won't go through all those numbers. I'm sure you had a chance to look at it, but how many visitors for that month. And the one month where we really fell down was in July of last year. We were closed 10 days, which made up a lot of it. But July of last year, it was 110 to 115 degrees for 2 weeks. And that building has no insulation. So we opted to stay home in air conditioning because there wasn't going to be anybody walking around town anyway in that kind of heat. But so those numbers, really proud of those numbers. Only closed 38 days. If you take the 10 out for July, we average about 1 day a month, 2 days a month that we're not open. And we're generally open from 10:30 to 4:30 with 2-hour shifts. And we have 31 active volunteers now, which is amazing. So we designed a you saw this, I'm sure. I don't know if everybody here saw it, but a full color brochure. We're now on our 3rd printing of it. It's a beautiful, beautiful brochure. People pick them up and we also mail them out, which brings me to the next one, which is the California State Visitors Guide, which is published once a year, and there's 500,000 copies go out. So our ad, did this thing just turn off or?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. I talk really loud anyway. In the magazine is a beautiful ad that we designed, and thank you very much for supporting us. The city co-opted on this ad, as well as the Business Association, and we put in $500 as well towards the ad. Wonderful placement right next to Yosemite, and we have Yosemite listed in our ad. So this particular ad is available online too, in I think 7 different languages, but people can click on the ad. It takes them straight into the website. So they go straight into suttercreek.org, and then they can request information, which that's sent to us about every 2 weeks. And I put one of these in your packet, which is the mailer that we send out. We've sent out well over 300 of these, and we have another 100 ready to go out. It has a welcome letter. Also, not just about Sutter Creek in here, I'm sure you noticed, we're also promoting Preston Castle, Kennedy Mine, the Night Foundry. We put in our event calendar and our 4-color brochure to try to make the area look as inviting as possible. So it's not just about Sutter Creek, we're putting in more. And since we're a 501c3, we get a discount on postage, which is really cool. So anyway, I hope you all had a chance to see that ad. We are in the publication for this year as well. We ran the same ad again. I just haven't received those. I haven't received them in yet. And, so we designed and ran our own event to support us, which was a Sutter Creek Wine Walk. And we're already starting on year number 2. I already have some wineries that have signed up that want to come. People are already asking when they can buy tickets. So that was a great event, and everybody kicked in on that. It ran really smooth. It was wonderful. And that is how we paid our rent for a year. So that we're going to do the event again. And of course, we all go out and we tour. We're touring the Night Foundry on June 14th. Again, we're going to do it on a pouring day, but we've toured many of the big locations and other places, so we know what we're talking about when we're in there. I guess I don't have to explain everything in here. Oh, I wanted to talk about, because this didn't probably make much sense. We designed and printed posters for each community in Amador County because we want to represent the whole county. So I brought a sample down, and these are in the visitor center. I have one for every community except Pine Grove and Pioneer, because I haven't been able to figure out what their historic points of interest are yet, but we're going to get to it. So anyway, we have a representation for all the other cities too, and information as much as they have. There's some towns that don't have any brochures. And I've asked, but anyway, so that's that. Hopefully you've all been in to the visitor center and know what I'm talking about. How am I doing on time? We also updated the Monteverde Museum brochure and printed up 250 of those, which I gave a pile to them, and we're storing the rest. We've redone a whole bunch of different brochures. In this packet that I brought tonight I don't have to go over it. It's just interesting information. One of the main things, and I really want everybody to know this because it's super cool, which is we're doing, this comes out every week. It's a weekly event update. And one of our volunteers puts in untold hours finding all these events. So it has current events, upcoming events, and then we have another one, which is your reoccurring events and tours. So people can see all the different things that are available to do all the time. And we're developing a mailing list so we can start sending this out weekly, and hopefully it will get more people to come down for events and know what's going on, like knowing there was a car show in Jackson this last weekend and stuff like that. So that is a really cool achievement, and it's a lot of work. Not by me, one of our volunteers does it, and she does a great job. And then the other side, I just have some samples of the brochures we've designed for different things in Sutter Creek. And each one has a map of town, which is, was very tedious to make. But it's very helpful because if you know the business address, you can find them a lot faster. And it also points out the parking lots, the restrooms, post office, city hall, and police department. And then another one that we've just done is this one that's in the back. So this is, the volunteers went around to every business in Sutter Creek to find out who sells Sutter Creek merchandise. So we can refer people, since we don't want to sell t-shirts. We don't want to get into the retail end of things. So this is really, really cool. And we're going to take it around to all the businesses as well. So they will know who to refer to if somebody wants to buy a Sutter Creek hat, Sutter Creek coffee cup, who's got it. And the other thing that will probably happen from this is the businesses will look at it and go, well, maybe I should have something. And then we might have more merchandise. It also has locally made products as well. So if people want to buy things that are made locally. And the postcards just came in today. So
They're great.
thank you.
That's my last family reunion right there.
I know. I know. Seriously, me too.
I wanna
This is
know
my
who
high
stole
school
the-
reunion.
How'd you get?
So
I see it.
this one, believe it or not, you're probably wondering why did I make this into a postcard? This is the favorite picture in the visitor center, right? Everybody comments on this photo and
So-
they're like, what is that?
Yeah, so what is that?
So they're called the Broom Brigade. And when I was up at the archives getting pictures to blow up to put on our walls, I saw this and I asked Teresa Guidi, I said, what is this? And she goes, I don't know. She said, I think it's an Ione, but nobody knows. So it's the Broom Brigade. But everybody that comes in the visitor center absolutely loves this picture. So I thought it might be a hot item. But I know the Sutter
Definitely
Creek ones
unique.
will, huh?
Definitely unique.
It is unique. And the Sutter Creek ones, we just desperately need it because people come in and they want a postcard.
It's nice.
And we also got in little gold vials. We're not going to go heavy into retail. It's just a few little souvenir-y things. But for the most part, we want to refer people to Sierra Mountain Outdoors or whoever it is that has what people want. And that's just about it. So what I would like to ask is to be in the budget this year for the same amount as last year. 5,500 was the proposal that I put in. And I'm hoping that you definitely consider doing that. Because besides the rent, our biggest expense, rent and utilities, is ink. Because we print a lot of these brochures and the ink is $100 a cartridge. And we go through quite a few of them. We only print the brochures 10 at a time because business information changes.
Yeah.
Or burns down or something happens. And so we don't send, it would be cheaper to send it out and have them done mass quantities, but things change. Businesses go out, businesses come in. We've got 2 new businesses in town right now. And, excuse me. So that and the postage to mail these out, but these are only about 46 cents a piece. I think it's even less than that. I think it was like 27, but it wasn't much because of the nonprofit status. Anyway, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I just want to thank you and commend you and your volunteers. And I think it's paying off in trickle-down ways, your work. I noticed there was a travel blog that highlighted Sutter Creek as one of the top 7 most beautiful or picturesque Sierra on the eastern Sierras. So I think that has to do connected with the exposure that you provide. So
you.
thank you.
We also, a Google search recently, Tony sent me that. The Google search where the visitor center came up third.
Nice.
Third
nice.
thing to,
Yeah. Yeah.
the third best thing to see in Sutter Creek is the visitor center. But anyway, thank you very
Beautiful work.
much.
Beautiful work.
Thanks,
Thank
Tony.
you so much.
Or not Tony. Oh, Lisa, I had one question. You guys did so much more this year. It's so cool to see you grow. And
you.
certainly Sutter Creek benefits from it. And so do a lot of other, areas in the county. And I hope you guys also hit them up for money. Not trying to get off the hook, but
I know.
as well. But my question was, do you guys have a digital newsletter yet? And there is mention in here, I don't remember which paper it is, on sharing that with, the foundation has one, the Foundry has one. There are quite a few Sutter Creek organizations that have put together pretty substantial lists of people who have been here or have an interest. And
Right.
maybe
So
the visitor center would be a nice clearinghouse for that.
it would be. And with the weekly event, we're doing that digitally and trying to get an email list going, but I also am going to send it out we just did this. This is brand new. We've been doing it for about a month, that weekly event update. So we're still fine tuning it. But I do want to send it out to other organizations too, because they can share it with their followers. And I would love to have a newsletter too. But we'll get to it.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You could probably just, that cute little brochure, you could probably just save as a PDF and have a link on your site. It's not too hard.
Yes. Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, and then maybe we could have, I was just noticing we could have on our homepage like a Visit Sutter Creek that will link to you guys. I'm sure it does somewhere, but we'll make sure that
Yeah.
looks good.
I think it's there.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
think it's there. Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank
And these guys rock. They
I
rock.
know. Thank you to these volunteers and all your volunteers.
That takes us to item 6, the minutes from April 21st.
Please stick around. We have exciting wastewater discussions coming up.
No.
All we do.
See
Thank
later.
you, Lisa.
Thanks.
See you, Tony. I move that we accept the minutes from April 21st.
Hold your horses.
Oh.
I was sorry, I was giving them a second.
Oh.
I had a couple questions / comments on item 3, the public forum. I just noticed that we didn't have the name of the resident, and I thought we usually put that on the record if we know it. Is that our normal practice?
Okay. She introduced herself. I could try to
Right.
remember her name.
And then the city manager's report on the bottom, it has the scheduled date for the budget review ad hoc. And I don't believe this date is correct.
Yeah, I've already given them that
Yeah,
feedback.
and I don't think we announced it at the last meeting, did we? That we were going to pick a date.
I don't remember,
Okay.
but it is the 20th.
That's all I had.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Oh, never mind. And on item 10, the first comment, it's ACTC, not ACTS. That's
Good.
all I got.
Okay.
If nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So I'll amend my motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, consent agenda. We have two items, the renewal of Hague Brook and Cole Huber, which is one item, and then SB1 project list. So if there's no desire to pull them, I'd entertain a motion to,
I had some questions on
okay,
item B.
I just have two very quick questions also. I don't need to, I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, we don't have to pull
let's
in.
try the questions and
Yeah.
see if we could.
Do you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. So on the planning, I noticed a new person, Katrina, and I was just curious who that person is and what kind of work she's going to be doing, just because I was,
I think they just list everybody in their office.
Oh, okay.
What's her position?
Oh, shoot. It's a little bit lower level.
Yeah, so I think like Aaron has talked about sometimes like formatting our general plan is time
Oh, okay.
consuming. They can.
Okay,
have somebody
thank you.
do that.
And then under the compensation component, last time it read that it wouldn't exceed 75,000. And this time it says that it will be tracked and reported monthly. And I was just curious why that change.
No real thoughtful reason for
Nope.
that change.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't care. I was just curious if there was any compelling reason. Okay, thank you.
My question regards the Senate Bill the SB1. At the end of the description, it says, it talks about the Sutter Creek, describing the Gopher Flat, Fifield Alley, Old Sutter Hill Road. And then number 2 on page 45 says, previously proposed projects will be carried over to the fiscal year 2025-26 schedule for both projects. I was unclear about which projects both refer to.
The list is just an outstanding list that we had from last year. And so if you don't use the funds, then you just roll the projects over to the next year. And so we're just saying that the projects might be done in the next year. But-
So does both,
What's that?
seems like it refers to 2. So would it be all?
Oh, it could be all. Yeah, it should be all.
Should be
Yeah,
all.
'cause
That's-
2 was in from
That's all,
last year.
both I
Yeah.
was going. So which 2 do we get to like vote or? Okay.
No, it's all.
So it should be all.
It should be
Change the
all.
words.
You're right.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Anything else? Okay, anyone care to make a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve the consent agenda with the modification that Julia just raised for Dan.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. On our ordinances and public hearing, we have a new to me item for Assembly Bill 2561, and I didn't have a chance to ask you, Elizabeth, before. Just jump in if I'm doing the public hearing part wrong. This is our first time doing this. Okay, so Tom, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, this is a new law this year that I think once a year, council will have this hearing to allow the union representatives to address the council. Though, I mean, they could do that anytime they want during public comment. And then also to show and discuss vacancies, how long they're vacant and how we're hiring. And we do have a presentation, right? Do you have that? Yeah, so Aaron has actually put this together. So Aaron, do you want to go through it?
Sure. Yeah, so it's just a basic overview of our current employment status, how many employees we have, how many vacancies we've had in the last year, and ongoing recruitment. So at the moment, as of May 1st, we have 19 employees. There's 15 full-time, 4 part-time, and 1 vacancy in the police department, and we will come to that in a minute. The breakdown is 3 administrative, 6 public works, 4 police at the moment, and then 6 management staff classified as management.
Should we ask questions as we go?
Sure.
So I just want to, I think I know the answer, but I want to make sure on the management piece. So Tom, there's you and there's Mason and there's Dan, that's 3. And then the others are because of the way folks are categorized in public works and titles that they have? Is
It's
that
really 6 non-union positions, if you want to think of it that way. So it's Will, Mason, the police chief, and the 3 of us.
okay? Okay, thank you. Yep. Appreciate it.
Who was the first you just said? Will? Who?
Will Watson, who started as a project manager.
Oh, that's, okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Didn't recognize the name.
So yeah, I guess this is the other way of looking at it. Non-represented as the 6. We have 5 who are represented by the police association, 9 with SEIU. So we have 20 total budgeted staff, but like I said, we have 1 vacancy, which is in the police department. And I'll get to the recruitment part in a second. In terms of retention, one of the things we're required to report on as part of this bill is the retention rate. For us in the last year, it's about 88%. You can see here the number of staff that left in the last year. We had 2 retirements and then 2 resignations in the last year. And then the one that took the longest to recruit was the administrative services supervisor, which is now me as the city clerk. So it was recruited as city clerk, not as the previous title. And then the police officer recruitment is ongoing. Again, this gives you just an idea of how long it took to recruit the different roles. The city clerk took about 5 months. The project manager was a shorter turnaround at 2. And we had an account clerk that was hired pretty quickly as well, 1 month. The police officer, we posted the role in March, and the role is still in ongoing recruitment. And then, as I kind of alluded to, there's been some changes in responsibilities. Karen previously was the administrative services supervisor. She covered city clerk, HR, risk management, the cemetery, social media, and I'm sure many other things from what I can tell so far. So her responsibilities have been slightly separated out. I took over as city clerk and run the overall clerking responsibilities as well as HR, the website and social media with an outside company that we've hired. And then risk management is shared between me and Mason. Risk management is looking at like the different insurance that we carry as a city. And then the account clerk, Holly, our full-time account clerk, has now taken over the cemetery responsibilities, and she also handles all of the event permits, as well as building permits, just about any permit. Anybody who comes into the front office asking for a permit talks to Holly pretty much. Finance supervisor, Mason is obviously doing finance and doing all the budgeting and auditing and all that stuff, as well as taking on some of the risk management stuff. And then we hired a social media company. It's owned by Christian Cardona, and she's been helping us handle Facebook and Instagram and gets posts out about 3 times a week for us now, and helping with that side of things. And then we just want to highlight, we do have one kind of employee program, primarily in the police department. They received a grant and they were able to put in a gym, which is actually just underneath this building. So, yeah. Any other questions?
Would this be the time to open the public hearing? Okay. If you guys don't have immediate questions, I'm going to go ahead and open a public hearing. Would anyone in the public like to use the microphone and make a statement?
My name is Stephanie Thomas, and I'm a local realtor and a resident of Sutter Creek. And I am currently representing my client that is in the process of selling her home at 300 Hanford. And we're trying to figure out how we can get on the agenda because of the junkyard that is adjacent to it. And now another piece of property behind it has been purchased. So it's completely surrounding the property and making it a little bit, it's affecting the sale of the home and also just trying to figure out what we can do to see what the city ordinance is and so forth.
Okay, this public hearing pertains to, yeah, it's specific to this new assembly bill. So the time to address the council on an item not on the agenda is at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay,
You could also send a email to all of us or any of us
Okay.
through the website. There's a spot where you could go directly to us, or you could go to staff and they could forward it to us.
and then we can proceed on the next meeting.
You would take it from there. Yeah.
Okay.
Whether or not an item is agendized, it's not agendized until it calls for some sort of decision or action. So there's usually something that goes on between there, here
Okay.
and there.
Thank you.
But if you want to come back during the open session, the open forum, that's really closer to the beginning at the start time of the meeting.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
course,
Sorry to waste your time.
Your message was just delivered. So regardless, and
And,
appreciate it.
and Claire, if I'm correct, that would be in some of the past minutes because we have discussed the property or no?
So-
I'm not sure. It's not agendized, so yeah, I don't.
It's back to this item, and we did invite both POA and SEIU, but I don't think any of them came to the meeting.
Okay. Anyone else want to make a comment on this agenda item? Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Elizabeth's given me the okay. All right. Council, any discussion?
No, I appreciate the update. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I just want to compliment Aaron. I think he did a really, really good job on this.
It was very.
Well, I could see it was a lot of work, but is this a tool? Seems like something that we can use. But it's going to be an ongoing expense, annual ongoing expense to do this report. And I just question the reasoning behind it. Maybe it's very sound. I'm not sure. Any comment to that or?
Are you saying whether we're required to do it?
I understand. I'm
You-
assuming we
okay.
are. That's what I'm,
Yes,
it's
we are. So-
it's another requirement that's been given to
Correct.
us by the state
Yeah, I think
that-
it's probably
that
more
if-
appropriate for larger cities.
that we have to do, that affects our, but it costs money to do this. And I'm just wondering, and as you pointed out, Tom, the POA or the SEIU can come and address the council at any time. There's no requirement, that they have to come through some certain channel or to do that. And, I just question,
Yeah.
want to go on the record to say, I don't appreciate having another state mandated cost put upon us. That's all.
Understood.
Noted, Jim,
No
but
problem.
I would say if we do have to do it, it's really nice that it was right before the budget because, I think I'm going to stick this in my budget packet for next month. Since you did the work, it would be nice to continue to do it this time of year. Do we have to approve anything or? Okay, then moving on. Public hearing to consider objections and protests to the contents of the written report on delinquent sewer charges.
We do this every year. There was a resolution that was supposed to be in the packet. It's at places and it's on the table for the public.
Yeah.
It's just a resolution that goes with the item.
If there's nothing from the council, I'll open the public hearing. Okay, I'm opening the public hearing. Public, hear that? Did anyone, I don't see anybody making comment. I will close the public hearing. Council, any discussion? Otherwise, I believe we need a motion.
You need a motion?
Yeah, there's a resolution. Resolution of the city. It was given to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I move to, you need a motion to close the public hearing or no? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution ordering delinquent sewer charges to be placed on the tax rolls.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on to the administrative agenda. Here's our big item. Dan, Tom?
Sorry, what's the first one?
Wastewater treatment plant, RFP.
Yeah, so this is tiny little item. It's a big step. We've talked about this a lot. What we're bringing to you tonight is an RFP for procurement under what's called ESCO, which is the energy savings part of the state code. So there are different ways you could do procurement. You could do a traditional bid build. You could do a design build as a project. And we're doing what's called a progressive design build under this energy savings code. The reason for that is it allows us to roll a lot of the project costs into the total, which we can then finance over 30 years. Other methods would require us to pay a fair number of planning costs up front. And, the city as a whole has looked at the wastewater plant over a number of years. We've done a lot of planning. We paid for master plans and various studies. And so Dan and I and other staff, we've been meeting with potential engineering and construction companies. We've had quite a few tour the plant. We believe this is, the best process to go. It would be the fastest process. And time is really money, when it comes to the wastewater plant. Instead of having, it is a one-step process where we will put out this RFP. We will go through the process of reviewing proposals that come back and we'll select a firm. But the RFP actually has 3 phases instead of 2. So typically it would have been design. Once we get to 60% design, we'd approve a construction contract. We actually added an initial phase 1 here to look at some of the open issues around regulation, FEMA, the site planning. Really, that was to give the city potentially another off-ramp if it looks like costs are going beyond what we can afford. The other thing I'd say is we did talk to some firms. Had a request to extend the deadline for the submittal by 2 weeks. There are holidays. There's 4th of July, and then was a Memorial Day weekend in the time period. So does the council think that's reasonable? I think if we extend it 2 weeks, we may get an additional proposal, we may not. So if you guys have questions, happy to answer them.
I had just a couple, on the opening sheet and the background discussion. First of all, it was very clear. Thank you. It was easy to.
Yeah, Dan did
to
a lot of
follow.
work on this, and then Bill at Hydro Sciences also contributed a lot.
Regarding budget impact, it says, once the city selects a design build partner, we will work to sign a project agreement which will obligate the city to potentially pay for the design if the project does not proceed.
Right.
Can,
That's so that we'll have a design, because if we don't pay for it, then they could take it back. And so the language in there is intended for, if we decide that the project is too expensive, but we still want the design, we could pay that price, take the documents as city documents, and then keep the design for ourselves.
okay, to decide a project route.
That's what that's trying to get at.
Potentially, so potentially pay for the design if the project does not proceed. Okay. So we could have some ownership on the design without committing to the actual construction or
Yeah,
moving
mhm,
forward.
yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
that's understood. Thank you.
Sally, yeah. I just wanted to say a couple of things. It was really comprehensive, really, really nice work. And almost I thought, it's so prescriptive in terms of you're saying exactly what you want and how you want it. And I like that personally, because I'm kind of type A.
Yeah.
But
I actually think there could have been more detail in it, but that would have taken a lot longer. So
yeah, fair enough.
so there's
Specifically, the liability amounts, when I got to that, I was a little surprised that they weren't higher. And so I just wanted to ask, is that standard fair? Is that a decision in there somewhere? I mean, like, for instance, if the stuff really hits the fan and we get sued, I mean, I think the top liability is like $5 million or something somewhere. And I thought, man, that doesn't seem like all that much money.
yeah,
I'd say we looked at several examples that we merged together.
Uh-huh.
So I would say it is kind of, I guess, what we found other people are doing.
Uh-huh.
So
Did it strike either one of you or anybody else at any time that those seemed a little low?
Me,
Uh,
a little.
but I feel like we've gone through this before, and Elizabeth, it could have been you. It was probably your taller counterpart. But I don't remember which project, but I noticed the same thing. Maybe it was one of our contracts with planners or something. And it's $2 million, which is the same amount as if I or Julia rented the schoolhouse for a wedding, and Derek or you had given a long answer. And I believe that part of it was the liability for something really hitting the fan is in the bonding. Is that right?
It is. So it would be whoever your contractor is, that they're already bonded for a certain amount that would be over that coverage likely. But a lot of this is standard language. So I'm sure maybe it was Derek or myself had a long form answer, but often those limitations are standard limitations for any type of exposure.
Right.
And kind of across the board, kind of like what Tom was saying, in comparison to how other contracts or requests for proposals are prepared, fairly standard numbers.
and we did require bonding in there.
Yep.
Right. So yeah, I'm certainly not an expert on bonding, but isn't there a timeline with bonding and then the bond is gone and now you're on your own? Does a bond sit there for the next, 20 years? And if something goes bad with this thing, the bond is going to still be in place to cover something? I didn't understand it to be
You-
such.
Well, you'd have a statute of limitations for when you can take action against a bond or any type of cause of action.
Okay.
Any cause of action has a statute of limitations.
So what is the
in that
statute?
limit-
Yeah, of limitations on a bond such as this?
Well, it would be the underlying event. So if something catastrophic happened, that would be the event that would have some type of threshold statute. Of
I
limitations
see. So
to
that
it.
would kick that off.
Correct.
Oh,
It would be
okay.
the underlying event.
Oh, okay.
So there is also, once we go through this process, there's a contract before we get into the project. So
Yeah.
that's the next step. There'll be a lot of stuff in that contract.
Yeah. Good. No, I was very pleased with it. It looked right on and great work. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I just had the same comments I gave them to Tom this morning, how much I appreciated the obvious effort that went into this. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, I want to say the same. It's very thorough and I'm just ecstatic that, and all of these steps are response to the water board, and it's very clear that we at least know where we sit. Not
Yeah.
maybe how to squirm out of it, but where we sit. I had a couple of small comments or questions on page 62 of the packet. So under the WWTF component is the first time, and I think there's a couple of times it mentions Gold Rush Ranch specific plan, and I understand that that specific plan sits there and will continue to, but I always get squeamish when that's put in a document like this, because it's certainly not something that we can depend on or that is a done deal. But I did want to make sure this part is referring to, I believe, potential recycled water customers. And I want to make sure that we don't leave out potential customers we don't know about, the
Mm.
water association or whomever else does something
It's the first step.
downstream.
So that we're not limited to just the ranch.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, say that again.
I just want to make sure that we're not counting out any other potential recycled water customers. It mentions Gold Rush
Right.
Ranch specific plan, but we could also, if somebody else comes along and wants to buy recycled water, we're able
Yeah.
to do that.
It's somebody would have to pay for a way to get it to where it needs to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure the language doesn't make it exclusive. I love the, on the next page, the reference to making sure that it's modular so we could grow if we needed to. And there are a couple of places where specifically you're talking about the, I think, structure of the project team. And then also the technical approach. And there's a couple references to the timeline. And proposed late, where did I write it here? Construction sequencing requirements is on page 71. On 73, there's some other schedule stuff. And I just wanted to know if it's us or the firm, whoever it would be, that would keep the timeline communications going with Ione, because obviously this whole thing's kind of a gradual shift, and they'll have to be apprised of where we are and when we're going to get there. And
Yeah, that would definitely be on us to talk with them. We'll talk with the team that we get, and hopefully we'll get all the information that we'll be able to relay it to Ione.
okay,
That's definitely going to be on us, and it's going to be a fluid project, so
Sure,
there's
sure.
going to be a lot of back and forth.
that's probably preferable, but I didn't know if it needed to go in there, because certainly it's a big factor in the timeline.
Yeah.
Good point.
I think that's all I had.
There,
Thank you, guys. It's tremendous. Thanks, Dan.
one more thing, just, and I'm sorry I don't have the page number,
Yeah.
but there's a reference at some point to, it must be built in a fashion where existing personnel can run it or
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to, because I don't know what the future holds, and I don't think any of us do, in terms of what is this beast going to be and how is it going to be run? And I just want to make sure we're not backing ourselves into a corner where we don't have options of doing something different if it seems like that might be smarter than continuing to try to do it from a city level with city employees. And I'm not suggesting
Oh,
anything,
yeah.
I just,
Yeah, there's an option in there for them to run it for a year, and I think we put the option in there for them to run it continuously. I'm not positive about that, but
okay.
but yeah, any tertiary plant, you're gonna have to go to third level,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
whether it's us doing that or a company that comes down and do that, there's nothing to say either way.
Okay.
All those are open, and even like if some regional plan comes up, then that would be considered too.
Good.
There's not
Okay.
this is a whole holistic approach, you know, so
Good.
we're telling them what we think is the best idea.
Yeah,
but we're
fair
hoping to
enough.
Pick the right team so they can inform us what they
Good.
believe is the
Yeah,
best.
that's great. No, if you're comfortable, I'm comfortable.
Yeah, we're kind of more, we're very concerned with the team that comes in, not the name on the door. You know,
Yeah.
This is what I would say.
Terrific. Yeah, let's get it out there. What do we do?
Yeah.
Do we need them?
So if you guys approve it tonight, the plan is to, I think, get it out by Thursday this week.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
I have no problem with the 2-week extension. I don't think.
No, that sounds fine. Yeah,
If you can add
Get it
that
right.
to your motion, that would be good.
sure.
I'm going to open it up to the public first. Public, it's open? Nope. Okay. Is there, what are we voting on?
I
Is
could
there a
make
resolution?
I didn't see a resolution, but I could make a motion to approve the RFP with the additional 2-week response time as discussed at this meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thanks again,
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
team.
Nice work.
Huge step for the future.
Absolutely.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
we got the foot in the game.
All right.
All
Sorry,
right.
can I just double check who seconded that one?
You
Julia?
can't double check with me.
I think Julie.
Thank
I
you,
did.
Julia.
Not it. All right, another, spending more money, sewer collection system repairs project.
So, we sent out the request for proposal. We got 5 bids that came in. 4 of them were within $100,000. So I think the landscape is kind of turning in our favor. You know, it seems like people are a little more hungry. So Sirocco won out. Their cost came in after everything. There is a typo at the end of the one. Shouldn't read 74,000. Should read 746,000. So the comma's just in the wrong place. But we do have enough budget for all these repairs. Yeah, Sirocco was the same company that did Sutter Oaks for us last year, so we do have familiarity with them. We're comfortable with them. We know they're confident. So
Anyone have any questions? I had a curiosity. The project includes 7 areas, A through G. They aren't on here, but I think you've told
Oh,
us what they are before, right?
Yeah.
It's down in
They're
the basin of
other-
town.
yeah, they're from before.
Okay,
They're the actual projects.
great.
The,
There's, Jim, go for it.
I just had a comment about the resolution. Above the signature line for the mayor, it says Amana Regional Sanitation Authority.
Oh,
Need to fix that.
Right,
typo. Yep.
so that can come off.
Yeah.
Needs to come off.
Good.
Hey, if nothing else, is there a motion?
Need to open it to the public or not? Not that.
I think I did. Yeah, okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Agreement to accept the impact fees from the county for Bryson Park.
Yeah, so this is the old ACRA funds that used to be managed by the county.
Right.
We thought they were just going to go to the county for approval. The county said they wanted this paperwork first. So the county approved their own projects and then all the cities have had to go through these steps. So if you guys approve it tonight, then it will go to the county supervisors who also have to approve it. And then we'll get the money for the new bathroom. So this would be a new ADA compliant bathroom. The old structure would be used as storage.
Yeah.
Is there any
Yeah.
extra security that needs to be added to the site?
We might look
Discussed it
into,
this way.
yeah, either like a sign or a video or, we were
Not
talking,
inside the bathroom though.
what's that?
Okay.
Not inside the bathroom, no, for the outside, yes. We were also thinking about maybe like some automatic doors that kind of lock at a certain time. Maybe that's something that we were
Amador City uses a timed lock.
Yeah.
They,
Okay.
they put a bathroom in when we put the basketball court in,
Mhm.
and they've been really satisfied with it.
Okay.
Locks at 10
Oh,
o'clock
great.
or 9 o'clock or whatever.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, there's also a new sidewalk that we're putting in because the old one was not ADA compliant. So
Right.
we need to continue the old sidewalk from the road.
Yeah,
And
it
then
looked good.
I think we're going to add a drinking fountain too, just because there's none out there. So seems kind of like there should be one in a park.
Yes.
Any comments? I have one. I'm so happy.
Really, really
This was like 5 years of top of my list.
good stuff.
Well, for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, longer than that. Great. Let us know if there's anything we could do to go to the county or help with that.
I think there's usually a pretty slam dunk process.
Well, don't say- You never know.
Drinks it.
I don't want to know, but,
Right.
the county submitted theirs and it was like, it just went through. So
Right.
I move that we accept the agreement to accept the impact fees for the Bryson Park.
I second. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah. Heck yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Mayor and council member reports. Let's start with Susan.
I have nothing to report today.
Jim,
No, I don't.
Julia?
How much time do I have?
Yeah.
So should we go to Dan?
Yeah.
Dan?
Do I have anything? I don't know that I have anything.
ACTC?
We've got ACTC, the TAC is coming up Wednesday, and then the RTMF annual thing is in 2 or 3 weeks. I'll be attending that. Yeah. And Pat Crew is going to be having some surgery, so he's going to be away for a while from that role and also from his role at the county. So all good wishes to Pat and his recovery. Okay.
Julia?
Okay. Well, the short is, we have a regional, air quality meeting tomorrow. The long report, ACRA over the last month, the ACRA board over the last month, has had two, reviews of our director, former director, Michael Rock performance. As of last Thursday, morning, Mr. Rock resigned as the general director, general manager. And so with feet hustling on the ground, we've gone through a series of informal meetings with the remaining 3 members of full-time staff. We will have an emergency meeting tomorrow to hopefully put into place a more formal guidance. I do have to say that I've had now 2 meetings with their staff informally. There are resources flowing out of the community to help support. We have obviously some financial questions to address and to ask and to resolve. And we've already had a offer for a volunteer accountant to come in, a highly regarded accountant to come in and provide support. We have 3 full-time staff and we have 1 half-time staff member and then a scattering of partial time with the CAP program. The CAP program, as of the end of the school year, will be ending. It will not be restarting because it was a huge money loss. So where we are now is we have 3 very highly enthusiastic and committed staff members with the support of the board of directors to move forward. We are ACRA is solvent. We got confirmation informally today. We will receive it formally tomorrow in front of the entire board that they are able to meet their financial obligations. The 3 staff members will be taking on about 20% more extra work to make this work. Tracy Towner, who is one of the first directors when this JPA was formed, is providing a mountainful of help and resource and direction. And she met with us today, and she'll meet with the entire board of directors on tomorrow. We anticipate that for the 25-26 year, we want to convince our members, our city members, that their fees are going not to be wasted, but they are going to be put to good use. We don't see any programs that have to be cut, which means that services can still be to the cities. So the risk, and in talking to Tom, the risk is if you start cutting programs, then you risk the argument from cities, well, if you're going to cut programs, then we're going to cut what we pay you. And we don't feel that we have to go in that direction at all, that we are able to meet our program commitments. And we're looking forward to having the 5 remaining members, the cities, Plymouth, Amador City, Sutter Creek, and Jackson, and Upcountry, still participate fully financially, and ACRA can fulfill their program commitments back to the cities. We also talked about developing a strategic plan over the next 3 years with lots of options. And I'll leave those up to our meeting tomorrow, but I can come with full confidence that our pool lifeguards have already been hired. Signups for lessons have already taken place. They're full with waiting lists. And I've offered to help co-manage the pool for the summer for the time that I'm available in town to take some of the weight off of Amy Klingon, who otherwise was going to take on the full bore. So we have resources to help. So we feel while this is a real transitional time, we feel very positive and that the transition is going to move forward, and we can commit our programs to the cities in exchange for their usual fees. So that will go back to Jackson, Sutter Creek, and Plymouth after we meet tomorrow.
So if I could maybe make one comment. So again, so ACRA had these 3 or 4 different revenue streams. There's the impact fees. And again, what we're talking about for the bathroom is these old impact fees. There are new impact fees. Sutter Creek has been paying those to ACRA. And there were some accounting questions that were brought up that didn't appear that other cities have been paying them. They were going to the county. But then when we check with the county says they are only paying fees for unincorporated county. So there's yeah.
I asked that specific question today, and the word is that the other cities have paid.
Okay. So maybe it was just a mistake, but when we sent in a check.
And I asked
Yeah.
specifically of the audit.
But you know, the user programs, the user fees that we pay per resident, just want to make sure that Sutter Creek doesn't pay that and then other people pull out. Correct. And then we lose money. So
Correct.
I think we need a
discussed that, and
mechanism.
that will come up tomorrow. So
Okay.
I'm hoping to come away tomorrow with a unanimous decision we will have a full board.
Yeah.
At the last meeting, we did not. We will have a full board present tomorrow.
Right.
To be able
But
to
I
give
think,
those commitments.
I think if there's some mechanism for the cities to sign a letter of commitment or something so that we know everybody's going to pay and then
Right.
we can all send in our money, that would be good.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. And during that process or at some point, thank you for making sure that they fulfill their program commitments to the cities. But I feel like I need to be informed on what the program commitments are.
Well, I think one of the misunderstandings is these user fees also pay for staff overhead. And I think that's where ACRA got into trouble. There was no revenues to pay for the staff. And
Sure.
So I think all the cities need to recognize that we're paying for overhead. You know, it's not just programs.
Yeah, and I understand that, and, you know, we pay Accra for the pool separately, but, every year, you know, they've come and, it's been a few different people the last few years and do a presentation of what Accra does for the residents of Sutter Creek. This is a good time to do it again, to
Yes.
see, you know, what you get for your buck. If it's the, you know, there's the trivia nights and the, you know, what is it?
We talked about that today, and I think this is the first year that that hasn't been done. Usually there's a representative that comes to the city. So that is already
Sure.
on the marquee.
Having sat through a few of those, though, I still don't feel like I know exactly what we're getting for, you know, a pretty sizable chunk of money.
Thanks, Julian.
And there's one thing I left out of my city manager report. The local tax oversight committee met today for the first time. And we're going to meet again June 2nd, right before the council meeting, and then they'll be here to meet you guys. So just want to let you know that happened.
And Accra was able to, did pay their, the past due amount for what they agreed to pay back to the city of Sutter Creek, which is gosh darn close, yes, from last year. So that's close to $15,000.
Thanks for all your work, Julia. Sometimes
do-
it's
we-
really
yeah.
hard, and this
We've-
sounds like a
we've
really hard
started.
one. Yeah.
Good.
But it's going to be worth it. We have committed people.
Okay. City attorney's report,
No report today.
future agenda items. Anyone? Okay, information and correspondence.
I'll make one comment. In regards, on page 102 of our packet. And I'm going to sound like a broken record because I've brought this up before. When we call building permits as, label it as revenue, the fee that we charge for building permits, we call it revenue. And tell me if I'm wrong, but
No,
I
you're
really
right.
don't think it is revenue. I think it should just be, it should say total fees generated at this time were 9,366.
Yeah, I didn't catch that up. I
But-
totally agree with you. I get what you're saying.
Okay.
I did have one thing, I'm sorry. In the engineering report, it says that Mr. Navarro provided a site plan application. And I'm wondering for what? Because that's up here, right? And
Yeah, it
so,
was like deemed incomplete, but it was for a building.
okay.
So
I'm not, I want to go on record. I'm not comfortable that I know exactly what's going on over there and that I'm on board with what's going on. We had an update 2 or 3 months ago. And I'm just not clear what our position is vis-a-vis what's being called the junkyard over here. And I was reminded of it again tonight. So can we get an update on that in terms of future agenda items? I'd like to know exactly what's going on. And, you know.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Since if you're going to put that on the agenda, I think there was some code enforcement action occurring up there at Sutter Hill adjacent to the
Yeah.
Central Eureka mine prop there. And what used to be Hertzig's property. And there was something going on up there in regards to code
so just a
enforcement. So
code
maybe both,
enforcement update.
maybe both of those.
I had a couple well, there's no one here to ask, but the police report just jumped out at me. Traffic stops was 162 and moving citations is 7. So does that mean 155? Help me out here. People didn't get a ticket?
Yep.
I guess I'd follow up with then, were they speeding? Is that why they got pulled over? And then on the Public Works one, the April 11th, city received notice the sewer pipe was filling up, that whole thing. I just didn't get it. I was curious, not challenging it, just curious. You lost me somewhere with the combined lateral. And I was looking for clarification, I guess, if the lateral was clogged.
You talking on Eureka Street?
Um,
Is that the one?
April 11th, city received notice sewer pipe was filling up with clean out. Public Works went to investigate and determined that the combined lateral was combined. Crews worked late into the night to clear the blockage. No sewer spill occurred, and Public Works has identified that the line was blocked approximately 250 feet from the clean out, and the main was too long of a run without a manhole or a clean out. So
Yeah.
was it on the lateral? And if that's the
Well-
case, is it the person's? It also flagged me because
So
it
it's
said
a-
working late into the night. So I was like, oh, that's expensive.
Yeah, so that's one of our common laterals. We have 3 people on that lateral, so we treat it as a main, but if you want to get technical, it's a lateral because it's not, well, I guess it is a main, but we call it a lateral because it's got 3 people on it. Typically we wouldn't let that happen with new construction, but that's just, we have a lot of them. So yeah, it's a known problem that we've gone out there every 6 months or so. But this time we're able to go further down and find the blockage. So we actually were able to dig up into the street, figure out where it was, head down further, clear it out. So it's on our emergency list. It didn't make our list of projects that we're doing for that one. But we're probably going to have Campbell just come out and do that. We're working out the details right now.
Where is this located?
It's on Eureka Street.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And so there's no manhole there's the clean out and then there's the bottom of the hill. And so our equipment won't go that far. So we need to put either a clean out or a manhole somewhere in that road somewhere. And we suspect the pipe is actually either clogged down there or broken. So we'll have to camera it and we might replace the whole thing when we go out there. We just don't know until we get into it. Yeah, it's fixed enough right now. So I would call it still in emergency mode, but we're not going to spill out over the next, couple weeks. So hopefully best we can do.
Anything else?
Put it on a goal.
Okay, if there's nothing else, then we will adjourn into closed session.
Thank you.
You only spoke